Discover amazing transformation. This grandma's incredible 30-year journey to overcome trauma. Clara stood in the shadow of her grandmother's old art studio, feeling the weight of 30 years of bitterness and duty settle heavily on her shoulders. This space, filled with dusty easels and forgotten canvases, felt both foreign and familiar, calling to her with whispers of passion long buried beneath responsibilities. The colors swirled in her mind, flashes of reds, yellows, and greens, and with them, an unsettling fear took root deep within her heart. Could she really step into the light after so many years of living in the darkness of grief? Would it be selfish to pursue the artistry that made her grandmother famous, when her family needed her? Pressed against the backdrop of economic uncertainty, her grandchildren relied on her. She was the bridge between their dreams and the harsh reality they faced in their small town. Whenever she felt an inkling of courage to follow her own path, guilt would arise, gnawing at her insides like a relentless tide. What would they think? Echoed in her mind, a persistent reminder of her obligations. Society had always taught her that personal sacrifice came first, being the matriarch meant prioritizing everyone else's needs over her own. Yet as Clara stared at the blank canvas before her, she longed to embrace the brush and let her emotions spill out in vibrant hues. Trembling fingers hesitated, painting the air rather than the canvas, as a whirlwind of doubt swept through her. "Just paint it," she whispered to herself. But with each stroke of her brush, she could feel the tension rising. Could she risk failing and be mocked for thinking she could create something worthy? Images of pitying looks from the locals flashed in her mind. She envisioned them whispering behind her back, judging her not just on her art, but on her financial struggles that had gripped her family for too long. What if her paintings were just as faded as the glory of her grandmother's past, a bitter reminder of better days? The fear of inadequacy loomed larger than ever, anchoring her to her past while simultaneously imploring her to transcend it. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue it. As the days slipped by, Clara found herself torn further into the depths of an unresolved dilemma. The night of the local art exhibition loomed ominously on the horizon, each day amplifying her internal conflict. The thought of showcasing her work sent her heart racing as whispers of failure taunted her. The paintings had begun to take form, but doubt draped itself around her like a dense fog, making each stroke feel heavy and burdensome. Did she dare allow her grandchildren to witness a dream that may lead to shame rather than inspiration? She could almost hear their tiny voices urging her on, pleading for her to show them that life could still be vibrant even amidst adversity. Yet, would this endeavor to find joy in art ultimately jeopardize the stability they all hungered for? The futility of it all hung in the air, suffocating, as Clara grappled with whether the pursuit of her own happiness was a betrayal of her familial duty. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the night of the exhibition, the weight of expectation bore down on her, making each breath feel shallow. Clara stood before her pieces, colors dancing on canvas, but the overwhelming fear of judgment threatened to swallow her whole. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears, who would see her as more than just a grandmother defined by duty. The world was about to open its doors, but would she seize the moment, or would she slip back into the shadows once again? Clara's breath hitched as she nervously scanned the vibrant canvases that adorned the walls. The colors that had once burst forth from her heart now felt like weights pulling her down. Each brushstroke invited scrutiny, each canvas a potential judgment nestled within elegant frames. She could feel the probing stares of the audience who, in mere moments, would shift from curiosity to critique. An urgent knot twisted in her stomach, A clash between her hopes and fears. A childlike innocence within her whispered to embrace this moment, to revel in the spectrum of emotions her art had unleashed. But realism dictated a different narrative. The overwhelming pressure of her family's expectations bore heavily on her. Could her passion serve as a lifeboat in turbulent waters, or would it capsize under the weight of mistakes? She clenched her fists, every finger an anchor to the past. In that fleeting moment, the thought spiraled. What if my best isn't good enough? Echoed in her mind like a persistent refrain. Clara reminded herself of the complexity of growth. Each shade she had mixed and layered on the canvases carried the essence of her journey: sadness, resilience, the flickering hope that whispered she might still reclaim joy. A gentle voice penetrated her turmoil, a familiar face. You're not just a grandmother, Clara, you're an artist. Her friend Jan, an effortless source of encouragement, murmured beside her. Your story deserves to be seen. So does your bravery. Clara felt warmth sprout in her chest, momentarily banishing the chill of self-doubt. It was a reminder that the pursuit of art, despite the scrutinizing lens of public opinion, was deeply personal. A chance to intertwine her narrative with vibrant strokes of her heart. Taking a deep breath, she reminded herself of her grandchildren. They were learning from her existence and choices. She could a new identity for them, not just of sacrifice but of self-expression. Their lives, reflective mirrors of Clara's own struggles and hopes, beckoned her to step into authenticity. Perhaps this was not merely a moment for her, but an example for them, a lighthouse amid swirling seas of despair. The gallery began to fill, eager attendees drawn into her world of colors and shadows. Clara focused on entrusting her canvases, not as relics of fear but as markers of growth. She surveyed the vibrant pieces, the chaotic swirl of emotions captured in each work evoked stories unfurling. Though she had embraced the notion of judgment, she now felt a pulse of excitement, a renewed commitment to herself. With laboring determination, she approached the first painting. A deep breath invigorated her spirit. As if guided by unseen hands, Clara began talking about the piece, its origin, its struggles, and the soul it captured. The words flowed freely, her passion igniting an unexpected spark in her heart. Audience members were no longer passive observers, they leaned in, captivated by the raw honesty she offered. Elation coursed through her as she shared her journey with each brushstroke. It was exhilarating and terrifying how easily vulnerability transformed into a connection. Perhaps this could topple the walls she had built around herself and her art, allowing the world to see her for more than just the roles that enveloped her. As the evening unfolded, Clara realized her art spoke even louder than her fears, a force pulling her toward resilience. This wasn't merely a night of art, but a revelation she could dare to redefine who she was and who she could become. Yet amid this newfound resolve, a shadow loomed at the edge of her consciousness. Could her creative spark weather the demands of looming realities? The clash of dreams and responsibilities would inevitably rise again, and Clara wondered if she could handle both the weight of duty and the longing for artistic freedom. A voice in her head hinted at impending challenges, but she felt almost buoyed by the night's success. The moment felt pivotal, as if she stood on a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. What awaited her beyond this exhibition? As she felt the excitement of newfound possibility wash over her, a nagging question crept in: would she find balance, or would the old patterns draw her back into a life of responsibility and regret? The answers loomed somewhere in the distance, just beyond her reach. As Clara meandered through the sparse yet invigorating air of the gallery, she couldn't shake the electrifying sensation that had rippled through her during her speech. She had found her voice, and with it, a sense of purpose she had thought lost forever. Still, that undeniable whisper of doubt hung around her like a shadow, hovering over the newly discovered light within her. Most of the attendees had departed, their laughter and conversations gradually fading into the background, leaving Clara alone with her thoughts. In those final moments, she stepped away from the bustle, allowing herself to breathe. The weight of judgment had yet to relinquish its grasp fully, but she had dared to share her story openly. That was a start. A surge of energy from the evening's success coursed through her. She leaned against a blank wall, contemplating her next steps. The success couldn't just stop here, it needed to ripple outward, marking the beginning of her resurgence. But how could she forge ahead while artillery from her past echoed in her thoughts? Should she embark on a new series that would explore her narratives more deeply? As she mulled over the idea, images of her grandchildren danced in her mind. How often had she encouraged them to pursue their passions? And here she was, holding herself back from the very encouragement she gave. Despite her exhilaration from the exhibition, the chasm between aspiration and reality loomed ominously. Clara knew that each stroke on canvas was a dance of truth and vulnerability. However, she had to confront her expectations and fear of failure. Her art had tapped into something profound, but could she continue to unveil layers of herself without sabotaging her commitments to family? This relentless internal conflict steeled her resolve. Returning to her canvases, she relished their essence. Each piece told of her struggles and triumphs, her dreams intertwined with fears and aspirations. She could keep creating not just as an escape, but as an act of defiance against her hesitations. Yet, a voice more urgent this time called from within. If she were to succeed, she needed a plan. A circumstance would arise demanding her unwavering dedication. She could feel the pressure of both family responsibilities and the constraints of a busy life closing in. Was there a way to marry her art with her obligations? Or would she crumble under both ends, sacrificing one for the other? The next day, Clara resolved to tackle the iceberg of her mounting family responsibilities that had long been burdening her spirit. It would mean setting aside certain outdated expectations. Her role as a grandmother and woman would remain, but it was time to advocate for her artistic aspirations assertively so. Would she have to renegotiate those familial ties, or was there a way to harmonize both aspects of her life? As Clara's resolve strengthened, she envisioned herself enrolling in an art workshop, connecting with other creators who might share her struggle. The idea blossomed in her mind like the fierce colors of her paintings. Every exhilarating option invigorated her spirit while confronting her anxieties. Stepping into this next chapter felt risky. The thought of being vulnerable in a new community was daunting. Yet Clara clung to that rare and intoxicating rush of growth she felt during her exhibition. The uncertainty was akin to the blank canvas before her. It had potential. The phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her back to reality. A text from Jen flashed across the screen, inviting her to breakfast to discuss her exhibition and ideas she had about building her support network. With a renewed sense of hope swelling within her, Clara typed out a quick response, agreeing to meet. As she settled in for the night, thoughts of tomorrow swirled in her mind. Would she find courage in those meetings with others who shared her journey? Clara sensed that the path ahead would not be easy, but the possibilities felt electrifying. There was always uncertainty with transformation, but for the first time in years, she embraced the unknown with audacity. What awaited her in this new endeavor, and would it be the catalyst for the transformation she yearned for? As dawn crept in, casting a tentative glow into Clara's kitchen, her heart raced with a blend of anxiety and excitement. Breakfast preparations formed an almost ritualistic cadence as she sliced fresh fruit and brewed coffee, her mind preoccupied with scenarios of the day ahead. The meeting with Jan could serve as a launchpad into the artistic community she had longed to join, but the specter of self-doubt gnawed at her resolve. When Jan arrived, smiling and radiating energy, her presence instantly brightened the room. Clara admired her friend's ability to effortlessly blend professionalism with approachability, a stark contrast to her own internal chaos. Jan's enthusiasm bubbled over as they settled at the table. "Clara, your speech was phenomenal. I've been thinking about how we can build a network that amplifies your voice." Clara nodded, absorbing Jan's words while tracing patterns on her napkin. Although the praise felt good, it was accompanied by an unsettling truth. Who was she to step into the spotlight when she decomforted herself with the shadows for so long? Taking a deep breath, Clara counted, And what if I fall short? What if people don't connect with my art or my story? It was a fear that clawed at her insides, but revealing it felt oddly liberating. Jen leaned closer, her expression sincere. The only failure lies in not trying. Remember, every artist faces critics, but it's the experience of sharing your truth that cultivates growth. Clara appreciated the sentiment but struggled to silence the internal critic whispering doubts. After breakfast, they sipped coffee while brainstorming ways to draw like-minded creatives into her orbit. Ideas flowed, punctuated by laughter and moments of vulnerability. Jan suggested a social media launch and an open studio day, but each idea tugged at Clara's hesitations. Volatility hovered in every proposition, raising the specter of judgment from both her art community and her familial circles. Despite the sneaking fear that threatened to undermine her progress, Clara felt a sense of agency she hadn't known before. What if I shared my struggles along with my art? What if I used my platform to connect through authenticity? The thought sparked an ember. Art offered her not just a voice but also a sanctuary. Leaving breakfast, Clara's mind danced with possibilities, like her paintbrush gliding over a canvas. It dawned on her that sharing her insecurities might resonate more deeply than projecting a polished facade. Delving into the vulnerability behind her works could forge connections that mere beauty never could. Yet, a flicker of apprehension remained. She would need to navigate reactions from her family, who might not understand this bold leap toward self-disclosure. Would they support her reinvention, or would it provoke concern? Clara hesitated, feeling an old familial loyalty tethering her to restrictive norms, the very norms she aimed to break free from. Determination surged as she realized that every step toward becoming her authentic self brought her closer to her goals. Embracing her dual roles could involve redefining expectations rather than sacrificing one identity for another. That afternoon, she reached for her phone, hesitant but resolute. She texted her children, suggesting a family dinner to share her latest ambitions. The initial reactions could either bolster her confidence or ignite the anxieties she feared. She squashed the impulse to read too much into their responses. The urgency of transparency beyond her canvases compelled her. With a renewed drive pulsing through her veins, Clara then started drafting an outline for the upcoming workshop she envisioned. Her paintbrush hummed with momentum as she put thoughts into action, crafting a vision that felt tangible. The canvas of her life was vast and uncharted, and for the first time, she felt eager to paint on it rather than fearfully retreat. Yet, as she glanced at the empty canvas waiting for her brush strokes, a lingering uncertainty loomed. What if confronting her truths didn't yield the affirmation she craved? Clarifying her vision and pushing through could demand profound sacrifices, and perhaps even painful confrontations, but not taking the leap could mean a life half-lived. Clara stood at the threshold, pulse quickening in anticipation of stepping into the unknown. As night fell and shadows lengthened, she picked up her phone beside her unfinished canvas. What awaited her at that dinner table could change everything, and only by confronting her fears would she truly understand her path forward. Would her family embrace her, or would her new reality fracture their perception of who she was? The kitchen felt stifling as Clara paced, her pulse sinking with her hurried thoughts. The prospect of family dinner loomed closer, a palpable mix of anticipation and dread tightening in her chest. She had spent the entire day crafting her outline for the workshop, weaving in her artistic philosophy and personal anecdotes, yet the effort felt futile when overshadowed by the uncertainty of how her family might react. Her phone vibrated, fracturing the stillness. A message from her daughter, Mia, buzzing with excitement about dinner. "Can't wait to see you. We'll have a blast." Clinging to Mia's enthusiasm felt like grasping a lifeline. But could a simple family dinner truly sustain her newfound ambition? Clara's stomach churned at the thought of the conversations that awaited her, conversations where she'd show them a piece of herself that had long been hidden in shadow. She glanced at her sketches scattered across the table, images rich with color and raw emotion. Each stroke represented not just an artistic vision but a reclaiming of her voice. There were snippets of her journey, yet the fear of sharing them transformed into chains that threatened to bind her. What if her family didn't see the evolution in her art, but merely focused on their own perceptions of her past self? A flood of memories of their doubt surfaced, and Clara felt the instinctive pull to retreat. Drawing a deep breath, Clara set her sights on the large canvas propped in the corner, a space denoting vulnerability, yet filled with potential. What could she reveal about herself if she dared to dive deeper into the artistic process, letting her family witness her struggles and her triumphs? Yet this realization came with no small degree of fear. Would she be scorned for the emotional rawness, or cast aside as overzealous? The dinner table felt like an arena where judgments would be made, and Clara had to prepare for the possibility of being met with a cold silence or, worse, dismissiveness. And yet, wasn't this the very battleground she needed to confront, transforming the old narrative around her identity? She flicked her gaze back to the canvas, cancelling the doubts with a firm resolve. Picking up her paintbrush, she began to fill the empty space with vibrant strokes of color. With every brush movement, she quietly reminded herself that growth came from discomfort. She wanted her children to see that she was ready to show her authentic self, one layered with vulnerability, resilience, and hope. This could either shatter past perceptions or build a new dialogue. As the clock ticked closer to dinner time, she made a pact with herself. Sharing her artistic journey would not be solely about uncovering her identity, but also about laying the groundwork for deeper conversations. If the workshop was a proving ground for her creativity, then the dinner was equally an opportunity for familial connection and honest exchange. When the time finally came, Clara dressed with deliberate elegance, a nod to the inner strength she was beginning to embrace. She gathered her sketches and portfolio carefully, a tangible manifestation of her evolution to offer at the dinner. Yet, as she walked through the door of her family home, the soft lighting and laughter echoed with both warmth and trepidation. Would they accept the woman who sought to reclaim her voice, or view her as merely a relic of the past? The moment she entered, Clara felt the weight of her decision pressing against her chest. She was about to forge a new path, not only for herself, but perhaps for all of them. Would she emerge victorious in this quest for understanding, or would she face the storm of resistance? Each step towards the dining room felt significant, heavy with potential change, as she approached a family dynamic that could either expand her horizons or imprison her under the weight of expectation. Her heart raced with the realization the next few hours would dictate not merely her immediate future but how she perceived herself and her art forever. Would her vulnerability draw them closer, or would it alienate her further from the family she longed to connect with? Clara prepared herself for the answer, her heart pounding in rhythm with the ticking clock. The time had come to face the music and uncover the truth behind their perceptions. As Clara stepped into the dining room, the atmosphere buzzed with chatter and clinking glasses. Every voice sent a ripple of both comfort and apprehension through her. This wasn't merely a casual meal, it promised to be a critical juncture in her personal evolution. She surveyed the room, her gaze landing on her family, their faces animated with conversation, blissfully unaware of the emotional tempest swirling within her. Finding a spot at the table, Clara arranged her sketches artfully beside her. The weight of their presence was grounding yet intimidating. She meticulously chose her words as laughter enveloped her, attempting to gauge the atmosphere. How do you bridge the gap between years of unspoken fears and the rawness of a creative journey? As dinner progressed, superficial questions flitted around her, revolving around mundane topics. Clara felt increasingly isolated. Each exchange felt like a test, a simplistic script that she'd outgrown. The vibrant recollections from her artistic explorations flared in her mind like fireworks against the canvas of her past. The moment seemed to hang suspended in the air. With a deep breath, she gathered her courage. "I've been creating a lot lately," she ventured, her voice tentative but fortified by the conviction simmering beneath. She could sense their interest flickering, their heads turning amidst the casual banter. "What kind of stuff?" her son asked, tilting his head slightly. "It's different. I'm exploring emotions and experiences through my art. I want to show you, she replied, apprehension prickling her skin. Clara momentarily faltered as silence settled. Would they indulge her, or would they retreat into skepticism? A familial murmur arose, an undercurrent of concern juxtaposed with curiosity. Her daughter Mia was the first to respond with palpable excitement. Mom, show us. I want to see what you've been working on. Encouraged, Clara opened her portfolio, revealing sketches that chronicled her journey, each piece infused with emotion and intent. Pacing through the presentation, she explained her artistic philosophy, intertwining stories of her struggles and revelations. As she narrated her journey, vulnerability seeped through her words. The initial silence transformed into spirited queries and comments. Clara felt sparks of connection igniting, yet, not all voices echoed support. She noticed an edge in her brother's tone. Are you sure this is what you want to do? He probed, his skepticism raising its familiar head. I mean, it's nice for a hobby, but is it realistic as a career? The familiar ache of doubt reared its head. Could her passion sustain itself? Clara's heart raced, but she took a deep breath. Art is more than a career for me. It's about expressing truths that are often hidden. How can I fully embrace who I am if I don't follow what speaks to my soul? The conviction in her voice surprised even her. Could this be the moment she found her footing among those who once viewed her with doubt? The atmospheric tension shifted, eyes around the table reflected varying degrees of surprise, contemplation, and warmth. Perhaps she was carving out space for her authentic self, redefining familial narratives that confined her for so long. Clara's heart fluttered with the prospect of acceptance, but a small piece of anxiety lingered. How would they ultimately respond? With every question answered, every rebuttal confronted, Clara felt strands of her identity weaving tighter, forging a tapestry of resilience. She was building bridges, not just for herself but for her family, inviting them into her world as unequivocally as she wanted to step into theirs. As dinner wound down, a thread of hope bound them together, yet the shadows of unresolved tensions loomed. Would this newfound dialogue hold firm against the tidal waves of previous misunderstandings? Clara sensed the shift but couldn't shake the feeling that a deeper confrontation awaited. She had opened a door, yet would they be willing to step inside and explore the depths with her? The stakes felt insurmountably high, yet invigorating. With the dinner plates being cleared, Clara contemplated the next conversation, one that could either solidify her newfound relationship with her family or fling open the tumultuous past once again. She braced herself for what might come next. Would they lean into the vulnerability she placed before them, or would they retreat to their familiar defenses? The answers felt just beyond reach, and her heart raced, primed for the imminent discoveries that awaited. Clara watched as the remnants of dinner were cleared away, the clinking of dishes now an echo of her earlier boldness. The conversation lingered mid-air, a mix of cautious intrigue and unspoken tension. As the dessert plates were set in front of them, a shared sweetness masked the lingering salty sting of doubt. Glancing beside her, Clara caught Mia's excited grin. It was an affirmation, but also a reminder of how far she still had to go. Are you going to paint anything new? I love the way you express feelings, her daughter asked, her voice bright like the frosting on the cake. In that moment, Clara felt the heavy chains of self-doubt begin to rattle and shake. Actually, I have some ideas, Clara replied, her voice steadier as she spoke. I am considering a series that explores the concept of vulnerability, both personally and universally. The words poured out, drenching the layered cake with newfound ambition as her family leaned in, curiosity gleaming in their eyes. Vulnerability is brave, her son interjected, his brow raised. But what if they don't resonate? His honesty hit her like a cold gust, leaving her momentarily speechless. That familiar, creeping seed of doubt sprouted again. What if her art was naked and rejected? How would she navigate yet another potential betrayal of self? She was on a precipice, swaying delicately, Weighing risks against rewards, the question hung as a veil over the table, narrowing her field of vision until it focused solely on her brother. What if I fail? She mentally whispered to herself, casting a sideways glance. His skepticism didn't exist in a bubble, it echoed the essence of her childhood, a harbinger of the critical perspectives that had nurtured her insecurities. Gathering her thoughts, she leaned forward. If I let myself be afraid of failure, how can I hope to connect deeper? Failure is part of learning, she asserted with conviction, surprising herself with her strength. Clara's resolve took root as she internalized the very lesson she wanted to impart. Maybe some people want to get it, she added, but I've learned that being true to myself is more important than catering to what others expect. Clara felt a rush, a tide of empowerment washing over her, shifting her perspective into clearer waters. Her family reacted with mixed emotions. Admiration flickered on Mia's face, while her brother's skepticism softened momentarily. Do whatever you feel is right, he countered, albeit with a hint of uncertainty. The conversation shifted away from potential failures toward aspirations, igniting a fire in the room that felt previously extinguished. As they transitioned to dessert, Clara felt lighter. They discussed dreams, aspirations, and what success looked like in broad strokes. This dialogue was a revelation, an affirmation of authenticity that rekindled her resolve. But then, beneath the surface warmth, Clara sensed an impending storm. Her father's opinions had remained undisclosed, and the air thickened with an uninvited tension. He had always held a formidable influence in her life, challenging her every choice, silently articulating judgments that reverberated through her psyche. Would he support her, or would condemnation hover like a shadow? As the evening came to a close, she contemplated how to address this unresolved tension. Clara's heart raced, a cocktail of anticipation and apprehension coursing through her veins. The importance of the next moment weighed heavily on her. This conversation could be the final step towards transforming her familial dynamics. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Clara braced for her father's perspective. What he revealed could either buoy her newfound resolve or plunge her back into the depths of insecurity. The moment approached, it felt undeniably charged, like a match poised over kindling. Would her journey toward embracing her authentic self be met with approval, or would it be met with the cold hard reality of family expectations? Clara could sense the tension enveloping the room as she prepared to plunge into the depths of the unknown. Clara inhaled deeply, the scent of vanilla and warmth still lingering in the air, a stark contrast to the chill settling in her gut. She turned slightly to face her father, who had remained uncharacteristically quiet throughout the evening. His presence loomed over her like a storm cloud, a constant reminder of the unresolved issues that had long shaped her sense of self. "Dad, can we talk about something?" The words felt like shards of glass pushing through her throat. But as she initiated the conversation, she realized they carried a much heavier weight than she had anticipated. Clara's pulse quickened, a familiar rhythm of anxiety pounding in synchrony with her heart. "What's on your mind, Clara?" His voice was steady, laced with a hint of weariness, as if he'd been waiting for this moment, too. Steeling herself, she took another deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be vulnerable, not just in my art, but in life." The statement was vague, yet it captured the essence of her turmoil. "And?" His brows raised slightly, an unmistakable signal that he wanted her to push further, to penetrate the fortress of silence they'd both erected over the years. "I want to create work that reflects my truth," she carried on, the words flowing more freely now. "But I also want your feedback, not just as my father, but as an artist yourself." The suggestion bore a double-edged sword. Inviting critique made her feel exposed, yet it was a risk she needed to take. He regarded her with curiosity mixed with disbelief. "You know how I feel about art. It's subjective," he replied, a hint of dismissiveness creeping into his tone. "It's essential to maintain some boundaries between personal and public expression." That response felt like a cold splash of water. Clara's face might have subtly expressed her disappointment. But Dad, aren't boundaries what prevent true connection? The audacity of her own words surprised her. Art isn't merely about aesthetics, it's about weaving our forms into something shared, something relatable. There was a pause, a tension that bound both of them. Clara felt the weight of her father's judgment lurking in the space between them, embodying the fears she had carried for years. Do you really think these feelings are universal? He asked, his gaze shifting slightly away from her. You risk alienating people with vulnerability. Many may turn away rather than engage. The question struck at the heart of her aspirations. An ISNT that a risk any artist must take. Clara felt a surge of defiance coursing through her. If I hide who I am, then I'm not an artist at all. I want my voice to resonate with others, even if it means facing their judgment. Gradually, she realized this was no longer just about her art or his approval, it had become an exploration of her self-worth and identity. She was challenging the very foundation of the dialogue they had sustained over the years. I don't need everyone to understand me, she continued, her voice stronger now, but I do need to be understood by the ones who matter most. You're one of them, Dad. The silence that followed felt pregnant with possibility. Could this raw honesty bridge the gaps that had grown in their relationship? Clara's heart raced with newfound hope, yet it was laced with apprehension. Could her father see her truth for what it was? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he looked back at her, his expression inscrutable. Maybe the world does need authenticity, he said slowly, his voice heavy with contemplation. But bear in mind that vulnerability has its costs. In that moment, Clara understood the truth in his words, and a flicker of empathy ignited within her, a glimmer of hope for their relationship. Perhaps this conversation was not the end of their struggles but the beginning of uncharted territory. As they both took a moment to process this exchange, Clara felt the stirring inside her, the exhilaration of uncovering an essential layer of both herself and her father. But as her exploration leaned into the unknown, she could hear the echoes of doubt. Murmur in the back of her mind, what if the next step brought not just understanding, but a deeper fracture? The weight of her personal journey unfurled like a brushstroke on canvas, one she was determined to explore further, but Clara also knew she had to embrace whatever lay ahead. Would she find the support she sought, or would the revelation of her vulnerability deepen the chasm between them even further? The tension charged the air, a living thing, ready to explode. Shadows of doubt lingered as she braced for what would come next. The very essence of her transformation rested on the precipice of his next words. They could either ignite a spark of understanding or plunge her back into the depths of insecurity. Unexpectedly, Clara realized that the true challenge lay not in the acceptance of others, but in the acceptance of herself, in all her vulnerable beauty. Clara's heart thumped steadily as she and her father leaned into a shared silence, yet the simmering undercurrents of tension begged to be explored. He was considering her words. She could feel it, like a thread pulled taut between them, electrifying and filled with potential. Vulnerability doesn't just open doors, he finally said, his tone softening. Sometimes it invites danger inside. His eyes reflected a flicker of something akin to understanding. Clara took this as an invitation, a way to probe deeper into a peculiar intimacy forged from years of silence and distance. Maybe that is true, she replied, threading her fingers together, but what if that danger is the very thing that leads to growth? For so long, I felt paralyzed by your expectations. I'm afraid of not meeting them, and often, I've resented that fear. His brow furrowed as if he were deciphering a complex equation. Clara could sense the myriad emotions surging through him: concern, doubt, pride, perhaps an inkling of regret. The realization hit her harder than ever. Accepting vulnerability required navigating a labyrinth of both conflict and connection. It's easier to wrap oneself in safety, he said slowly. If I'd been more open, I might have understood my own limitations as an artist and as a father. The weight of his admission felt heavy on her chest, yet Clara couldn't stifle the warmth radiating through her. I've spent so much of my life trying to be everything to everyone, she confessed, pain lacing each syllable. But now, I want to create art that reflects who I really am, flaws, fears, and all. The thought of laying bare her inadequacies choreographed a visceral mixture of thrill and terror. Art becomes a mirror, he mused, his eyes meeting hers, but are you prepared for what may stare back? A rush of affirmation surged within her. I am, Clara replied, her voice resolute, but it's terrifying. She didn't want to confess how often she had hidden behind self-doubt, veiling authentic expression with polished narratives. She needed to own her journey with a newfound grit, to step into the light of her truth. What unfolded was a delicate negotiation between her resolve and his skepticism, a push and pull that exposed long-buried emotions. The tension was palpable as they both grappled with their vulnerabilities. In that charged space, Clara felt the instinct to lash out. She wanted to hurl accusations that had festered silently. Instead, she chose to stay rooted. Dad, she shifted her approach, what if you shared your own vulnerabilities as an artist? Have you ever allowed yourself to explore what that means? What would it look like, for a seasoned artist, to embrace the fear of failure? He seemed taken aback, and for a moment, she thought she might see cracks forming in his carefully constructed facade. You might be surprised, he finally said, laughter holding warmth behind the thin layer of hesitation. Perhaps my attempts to shield you from pain have been flawed. Maybe it's time we both took that leap together. The gravity of that shared vulnerability ignited a rush of emotions she hadn't anticipated. Clara felt an exhilarating breathlessness, a cathartic release of years of pent-up dread tangled in expectation. The realization that they were both on this precipice and that they could dive in together brought a new sense of unity. It ignited a glimmer of hope not just for her career, but for their relationship. Let us begin with something small, she proposed, her words tumbling out in a rush. We can each create a piece of work that reflects our truths, no assumptions, no barriers. Just authenticity. The suggestion hung in the air with tension, rich and pregnant with possibility. She could almost see the gears turning in her father's mind, the careful weighing of a leap against the familiar comfort of safety. Maybe we can grow from our art, he said slowly, the edges of his mouth curling into an uncertain smile. Clara's pulse quickened in anticipation. This was uncharted territory, a crossroads where both her professional growth and personal development intermingled. What awaited them could strengthen their bond or rend them apart, as each layer of their intertwined journey peeled away to reveal stark truth beneath. The stakes were monumental, but Clara was ready to dive deeper, unafraid, bold, and yearning for connection. But would their explorations indeed yield greater understanding, or might they unearth more division? A doubt loomed, coiling in the back of her mind, and the next step became less defined. As she prepared herself to navigate these new waters, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the journey ahead promised to be equally exhilarating and treacherous. She focused intently on her father's face, searching for a hint of clarity. What would emerge from this collaboration of vulnerability, and could it pave a new path for them? Clara stood before her easel, the canvas awash in colors that felt like an extension of her very soul. The weight of her familial expectations had not vanished, but it had transformed. The fears that once loomed large now invigorated her. Each brushstroke felt decisive, driven by a purpose that was finally clear. She was an artist, and this was her moment. The dinner at her parents' house had sparked a turning point. It was a brave exploration into uncharted territories, fraught with vulnerability yet bursting with possibility. Clara had anticipated resistance from her family, yet the discussions that unfolded, particularly with her father, had been surprisingly profound. As the evening progressed, an unspoken agreement emerged: they would embark on a creative journey together, exposing their true selves through art with renewed resolve. Clara set ambitious goals. She committed to creating a series that illustrated not only her struggles but also a dialogue about vulnerability, one echoed in experiences that transcended her own. She found herself exploring themes like loss, resilience, and love, encapsulating them in vibrant colors and complex compositions. This project became an exploration of identity, not just as an artist, but as a grandmother, a daughter, and a human being navigating life's challenges. As the weeks unfolded, Clara also encouraged her father to paint alongside her. Initially hesitant, he eventually embraced this venture, each color revealing layers he had long kept hidden. Their sessions in the studio evolved from quiet brushwork to shared laughter and brainstorming. They began to talk about their childhood triumphs and failures, the expectations that once anchored them down. With every painting, Clara could sense their relationship re-establishing itself, an evolving connection rooted in shared artistic expression. Their work drew unexpected attention. At a local gallery, they showcased their collaborative pieces, a series titled Unmasking Truths. Each canvas reflected their journey of vulnerability and artistry, and the response from the community was overwhelmingly positive. The joy derived from sharing their stories amplified their individual voices, erasing barriers built over decades. Clara's heart swelled as attendees resonated with the raw honesty captured within the brushstrokes. For the first time, she felt confident standing in the artistic spotlight. Her vulnerability transformed into authentic power, a bridge connecting her past with her present. The anxiety that once resided in her gut shifted into excitement. She demonstrated to her family and community that pursuing artistic dreams didn't equate to neglecting responsibilities. In the months that followed, Clara firmly established her presence in the local art community. She created workshops designed to nurture aspiring artists, particularly those grappling with self-doubt. Several participants disclosed their fears, only to leave inspired to explore their creativity. Clara had become not just a purveyor of art, but a mentor fostering development and self-expression. The accolades poured in. Clara received an invitation to speak at a regional art symposium, where she shared her transformative journey, emphasizing the lessons learned through vulnerability. As she concluded her speech, the audience erupted in applause, and she felt her heart swell with gratitude. Standing before a crowd as an accomplished artist and advocate felt surreal. Clara had finally seized her identity, intertwining it with the artistry that flowed from her core. On this transformative odyssey, Clara had achieved clarity and recognition not merely as her grandmother's shadow, but as Clara the artist, the storyteller, the woman who found strength within vulnerability. The years of feeling unworthy faded behind her as she stood, resolute, shaped by experience, passion, and genuine growth. With newfound confidence, she returned home that evening. Her grandchildren greeted her with admiration, eyes shimmering with pride. Clara realized that she was modeling a legacy rooted in authenticity, showing them that pursuing passions could coexist with responsibilities. The impact of her journey rippled throughout her family, encouraging them to seek out their paths. As she reflected on this metamorphosis, Clara brushed her hand against the new canvas waiting in her studio, feeling certain about the future. She had not just achieved personal artistic success, she had also forged a new narrative for herself, rekindling familial bonds and promoting authenticity in the hearts of others. This moment, this very feeling, was one she would cherish forever. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through your actions.